here. Welcome, welcome. Boop, boop. Okay, I think we should just start. Hello, let me see you put your paws in the air. It's probably a weird time for you. It's 7 a.m. for Cam, it's 10 p.m. for Shawnee and Tim, but we're here together and I'm just so glad you all are here. This is our very first story slam for the Cabin Neighborhood Accelerator, and if you are a neighborhood steward, I need to see you do a weird ass dance move so the people know who you are. Give me something funky. That's right. And if you're in your seats, we're really glad that you're here. Yeah, hi Oscar, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so this is just going to be 5-minute stories that different folks are going to share. We only have a few of the people in the program here because everybody's got busy lives. Some people are actually in the hospital because they're not here. So this community is repping in a big way. Even some folks made videos, so it's going to be a fun thing. Here's Nitty coming into the call. Okay, so let's get started. Which of our stewards wants to go first? How about you, Shawnee? I'm going to set.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to give you
I'll go first.
a 5-minute warning, okay? And I'll need you to wrap it up. So I'm going to interrupt you and say 5 minutes, even if we're on a cliffhanger, okay?
Okay.
And then,
well, we're going to have 2 bits to this story. The first bit is actually just going to be some numbers. So there are 997 people in the West Beaky Bunch that live in 372 houses. And I'm going to read you a list of the 29 activities that we've done this year. Fire preparedness talk, first aid course, vision boards, taking better photo session, long table dinner, snorkel morning, paella night, movie night, story time for toddlers, kombucha lessons, table tennis competition, olive picking and pressing, meditation class, holistic house talk, olive decanting, clothes swap, jaffle making night, soup slice night, felt making, games night, dinner at the pub, harvest dinner, play on your porch day, Noongar language lessons, basket weaving, bike and brunch session, Halloween, chili pickles, and Christmas and carols. Those were the activities we organised for this year, and 16 people were involved in organising some of them. So that's like the overarching, how on earth do I pick a story from all of those things? But the story I wanted to tell tonight is the story of Elvis. So Elvis is a 40-year-old man. He lives alone in a house in an area where we live, and he happens to be autistic. So Elvis started coming to our activities about 2 years ago, and he came with a carer. So a carer would come with him and, would be saying, calm down, Elvis, it's okay. And after a little while, I said to the carers, you really don't need to come because we all know each other and we all know Elvis now, and I think he'll be okay coming on his own. So Elvis started coming on his own, and Elvis comes to everything. He comes to all the events. He is the person that drops in the welcome notes when people move to the neighborhood. He comes walking with us with the goats a couple of times a week. We walk past us every day with the goats. He's really become an icon in our community. And my partner's dad passed away recently, and Elvis kept calling me to say, what was Tim's dad's full name? And then he'd ring again and say, how old was Tim's dad? And then he'd ring and say, when was his birthday? And I didn't know what he was doing, but he actually made this beautiful big card, big sympathy card for Tim's dad, for Tim to say, your father, John Archibald Darby, it was like it was in the newspaper. And the amazing thing is he went around to all our friends in the neighborhood and got them to sign this card, to pass on the news and to sign this card. And it's really interesting because I was talking to him the other day and he said something that still makes me cry. He said, The people in the West Peaky Bunch are important to me because they're not paid to be in my life. And so that to me is the whole thing about what it is that we do when we do geographic community. It's about including everyone and providing a place and a space for everyone. So, Savannah, less than 5 minutes. Do I get a prize?
Get a prize. Everybody give it up for Shawnee.
Yay.
Oh, I got so excited and I just wanted to jump in, but I think now that a few more folks have come in, I want to give a bit more context. So welcome some of the new folks. Shawnee and Tim. Tim, can I see you? Wave your hands too. Hey, there's Tim. Tim's Shawnee's partner. They live in outside of Perth in Western Australia. Shawnee joined us as a both a mentor and a participant in our program, and she and Tim and many others have been building an incredible neighborhood called the West Peaky Bunch in Australia. So you can check them out at this link that I've shared in the chat if you want to see more like pictures and things, because there's a lot of incredible pictures. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna hand it off to Cam next. Do you feel ready, Cam?
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to dive in. Great to see everybody here. This 3 months have been, all over the place. I think I'll share a personal story, but I think the first takeaway that I thought was really beautiful and something that's worthwhile for all of us to consider is I think we all came into this with like preconceived notions of what this was going to be. And the reality is that no neighborhood is the same, no neighborhood is built the same, no neighborhood feels the same. And so I think what we learned, my partner and I, Shira, we learned a ton about what our specific neighborhood looks like and learning also a lot about what other people's neighborhoods look like and the ways in which those are same and how consistency is crucial, how micro intentional times to connect with neighbors are essential. So there's like crucial components across all of them, but it was really beautiful to see how all of them are quite different. And for us, what we focused on, and I think what made us feel quite unique is really Shira and I are just very passionate about emergency preparedness and getting our entire community on the same page about, hey, what happens when the big one comes? We're based in Oakland, California. And as we just recently learned, we are on the San Gabriel Fault, and that fault line typically has an 8.0 magnitude earthquake every 160 years if you look across the timeline. And 2028 is going to be 160 years. And so it's just going to happen. And so the question is, what do we do about it? And we thought a lot about this, and it just all comes back to community. And it does not matter whether you're a billionaire and you have a bunker in Nevada. If you still live in Oakland or San Francisco and the earthquake happens, you're not going to be able to get there. You're going to be surrounded by your people. You're going to be surrounded by your neighbors. And so we ended up really focusing on that for this neighborhood cohort and getting to know our neighbors, which got kind of kicked off by some initial hangs and then a big block party. And during that block party, Shira and I recruited 5, or initially 6, but then ultimately ended up being just 5 neighbors to come join us on an Oakland CERT program. So there's a federal program called CERT, C-E-R-T. I highly recommend everybody that is based in America to look it up. It is a program that allows for anybody in different municipalities around America to be able to get trained in emergency preparedness that is locally tailored to whatever you have going on and whatever natural disasters or general disasters could happen in your local area in the US. And so we ended up doing a 3-day program. We recruited 5 of our additional neighbors to come with us, 2 couples, 1 couple and 3 additional neighbors. And it was absolutely incredible. We had a wonderful time with them. We got to know them more. We had the largest representation of a neighborhood out of anybody in the 25 people that were in that group, which was really exciting. And we had just an incredible time. We learned a ton. We are in the process tonight and tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing all of our notes, compiling everything for our neighbors, and then later next week, we'll actually be inviting our neighbors to come over, and we'll be giving a little presentation and hosting a little talk for everybody to get brought up to speed. We're talking to our immediate neighbors right now that are in our building. We have two additional tenants, one below and one even more below, and they're really interested and willing to work with us on this. We're even thinking about converting a tool shed that our landlord has into like an emergency preparedness tool shed that like keeps all of his tools in place, but then also creates some space for us to host and put a lot of the things that you just need for these kinds of emergencies. So for us, it was this deep moment of like, this is us building the kind of neighborhood that we want. We think that safety and resiliency is one of the keystones and pillars of any successful and long-term community, and specifically in an area like Oakland and the Bay, where it is just inevitable that a really, really big catastrophe is going to happen. For us, we love this place so much that it's worth it to stay here, and we just need to be prepared for that inevitability. And so that's what really happened, and Cabin was a great resource to be able to keep us consistent, showing up week after week, thinking about, okay, what are we doing this week? What are we doing next week? And how are we making progress on that? Because that's really what neighborhood building is all about. And coming out of this, we feel insanely prepared. We are going to get even more prepared. And then we're kind of building out this vision for what that looks like on a community-wide level. How do we start hosting block parties that aren't just times for people to come together and eat food, but actually come together and start rehearsing drills for when the earthquake happens? And how do you search a home? How do you help people if they're injured? What does that look like? We built some pretty strong relationships with the Oakland Emergency Preparedness team, and so they're interested in coming out to some block parties in the future whenever we host them, to make sure that people are trained, and it was really impactful for that. We're also hoping that Shira gets a job in the Oakland government to help with emergency preparedness. So if we could get some kind of fingers crossed on that, and from the Cabin community, and help make that possible, all energy and prayers are welcome for that, because we just got super excited about it, and it feels like a dream job for Shira. Other than that, we are just feeling really happy and grateful. And I think that's probably my 5 minutes as well, Savannah. If you have any additional questions, or anybody else has additional questions to fill out the 5 minutes, happy to do so.
Yeah, it's about time. I want to invite anybody, if questions do come up, we're going to have a Q&A session in the last 15 minutes of the call, and feel free to like throw them in the chat as they come up, and I'll capture them for us. But give it up for Cam. What an amazing story. What an amazing guy. Him and Shira have been kicking ass. Great, great job.
I don't have a question, but I do have one little side comment I'd like to add, which is Cam and Shira have also been hosting some dinners at their place in Oakland, and we came over with our son, who's about 10 months old, and Shira and Cam's first question was, basically, where do you think we can find a high chair that we can have at our house, even though they don't have any kids? They want to have a high chair and stuff for kids available in their house, to encourage other families to spend more time there, which I thought was a really wonderful thing.
We got two. We found two around our neighborhood, so we got all the high chairs you need.
Yeah, some incredibly considerate folks are here. Well, what do you say, John Bo? What if you and I went next?
Sure. I can start. We split our time in half, and that way both of us have a shorter story. Well, mostly for me. I think Savannah could feel it. Yeah. So apologies, I'm a bit sleepy and still waking up. But I'd love to share a little bit about an experience that's actually been happening over the past few weeks. We have a 91-year-old neighbor in our building, and she is just adventurous and amazing. It's been really cool getting to know her life story. There's been like motorcycling in Africa, and anthropological work, and a PhD, and really just an amazing person. And I've been sort of asked, and then I offered to help her with just like some basic tech things, making sure that her email is loading correctly, and double checking the phone setup so that her life alert button works. And as a technologist, I think this has been like kind of a frustrating experience because I'm realizing how most of these companies are not really considering like the elderly in their design whatsoever. And I think it's just made. I've come home and I've just like ranted to Savannah about technology a fair few times now after these moments. And it's making me think about my own design choices and skills and intentions, but the act of getting to sort of use my skills and make sure that she feels more connected to her friends and more safe has been a absolutely magical feeling, and there's just such a nice feeling to be able to walk over to her unit and help her with this, and sort of be on call should there be things in the future. It's just one of those things that I don't think could have happened had we not sort of made the connections and the intentions of meeting people here. So that's my little story.
Sweet. Woo woo. Thanks, Boo. Yeah, John and I are in Boulder, Colorado, and when we first moved in, there was really like very little sense of community here in our building. And so slowly we got more involved and we started hosting potlucks, and we knocked on the door of everyone in the building and then eventually the door of everyone in the block. Um, and I just want to share like a few quick stories about some of the really special people we've been meeting in addition to Cyril, our 91-year-old neighbor. Um, there's two people who live right on the edge of our park in our neighborhood, and they are both like single adults. Their names are Tim and Adele. They're not romantically inclined, but they're like with each other. But their patios are like right next to each other, and they've just become friends. Like they have dinner most nights together. They like host dinners and they invite their whole building of apartments to come join them, and like they've been one of the major neighbors who've like been the early adopters in our neighborhood and been like, we'll host stuff. And like, it's just been exciting to see that there's actually a fair bit of appetite for this already where we live. And that's been a big theme I've been seeing in a lot of the neighborhoods in the program, is like, people actually want this. They really do. There's plenty of folks who don't, but there's a lot of folks who are like, wait, you're willing to do this? That's amazing. And then another story is there's a woman in our building and she's super sweet, and like every few months she'll just post in the WhatsApp chat that we made. She'll be like, I made too many matcha cupcakes. Does anybody want some? Or like, oh, yeah, we just have too many chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a meme. She's just too cute. So there's just like so many sweeties. And I think neighborhood building has really shown me that like a lot of people are craving the opportunity to be of service to their community and to get to love like their neighbors. And it's just been fun to like catalyze that. So yeah, that's a bit about John and I. Give it up for John waking up this early to tell a story with his goddamn girlfriend to a bunch of strangers on the internet. Thank you, John. Okay, let's see. Kati, do you want to go next? Do you feel ready?
I feel ready. The baby is occupied with some Play-Doh and a babysitter, so yes, I can go. Hello, I'm Kati. I'm in Porto in Portugal, and I'm not super duper prepared, but I added some photos to our neighborhood page yesterday, so I think now there are like 20 or 30 pictures, not of people, but of places, because I don't have any consent to publish faces yet. So I think I want to start with sharing some learnings that I had during the program. And I won't go into them and like explain anything, but I'm gonna go into one that was really important for me. So what I learned is the right people show up even if it's just you. Props to Shani. Door knocking is not the only way to meet your neighbor. It's the most terrifying for me. Community building is a very slow process. uncomfortably slow. And it will confront many of your internal demons. So by building community, you will not only change yourself, but you will also change people around you, and you should be willing to change people and places around you. So don't be afraid of your impact. The next learning, I don't know who said it, but I guess it was Graham. You don't call church on Sunday and ask if church is happening. So that's the kind of thing that we want to aim for in our events. They should be so consistent that nobody asks if it's happening. Big one, under-prepare for your events. Do not set up perfect spaces. Invite others to help. Yes, Shani, yes, I'm learning. And sometimes I think that's also a Shani classic. Sometimes things go great and you have an amazing garden, and sometimes you just kill plants. And my favorite learning from the program was that committing to one neighborhood can shift your whole perspective and make you see things that you haven't noticed before. Because when I came into the program with my partner Steven, who can't be here unfortunately, we were not sure if we're actually gonna stay where we landed. We just moved to Porto in January. We have never been here. We do not speak Portuguese. We accidentally landed in this place because we had to find a flat quickly, and everything was pretty rushed. So we ended up here in Panos, which is a bit outside the city center. It's a very residential neighborhood. It's very Portuguese. Very few people speak English. It's not the most pretty neighborhood. So I was like, it's a nice starting place, but let's see what else is available. And Savannah challenged us to do an experiment for 1 month, to just commit to the neighborhood and do as if we were staying here. And we did that, and really amazing things started to happen. So first of all, we went door knocking, and I was terrified, and it didn't really go well. We had a bunch of people not understanding us, and us not understanding them. And so I started just approaching strangers on the street, and I was like, they look nice, let's talk to them. And they look nice, let's talk to them. We ended up hosting a Jenga party, and 8 people came, and they were all awesome. We still meet up with them. We're starting to become friends. And I started to look at our neighborhood very differently. Like all of a sudden, I was like, oh, there's trash. Who put trash there? No, that's not okay. Let's pick it up. And oh, what's this empty building? And who owns this? And what could we do here? And what could we do there? And the amazing thing about our neighborhood is that we have 3 very ancient soccer fields very close to our home, within walking distance. One is 5 minutes, one is 10 minutes, one is 15 minutes. They have been abandoned 20, 50, and I don't know how many years ago, and they're just dormant. The stadium has been knocked down, and there's just a field, and it's big and empty, and no one gives a shit about it. And so every time we walk past it, we're like, damn it, community garden, playground, there has to be something. So this is our big project for this neighborhood. Like, we want to transform at least one of those fields into something that serves the neighborhood. And there are plenty of steps to be done, and plenty of Portuguese to be learned. But I think I got really touched by this program and what can happen if you shift your perspective and you're like, no, I don't need to find the right people somewhere outside of my neighborhood and then try to get them to move close. There are actually amazing people right where I live. Our downstairs neighbors turn out to be just amazing. And I don't know if I would have connected with them. And that's also something Shani told me. She wouldn't have connected with many of the people in her neighborhood, but they live close. So you have something in common. Our downstairs neighbors now are like, we knock on their door every time we walk down the stairs because Luna just loves them. Our daughter Luna is madly in love with them. So every time we go down, she's like, knock. And I allow her, and they open, and we have a quick chat in very broken Portuguese English. And then we either go on a walk together or we just say bye. And they jump in and help anytime I ask. They always are a yes. And it feels really good. And it's just the beginning. Like, our neighborhood is tiny and it's just the beginning. But I'm super excited to see where it leads to. And I never expected that this is actually the right place for us. So I think that's my share. And if you're in Porto, please come visit.
Woo, 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 woo. Give me some jazz hands for Kati. This was a big journey for Kati and Stephen and Luna. I mean, I know many of you are parents on this call, and can you imagine the effort it would take to build this kind of community in that context without knowing all the language? It's just like Kati overcame a lot of challenges in the last 3 months that were incredibly inspiring. Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Grin next. Grin, do you feel ready? Grin is in Arlington, outside of Boston, in the US.
Yeah, thank you. The story I wanted to tell is there's 2 parts to it. So part 1 is, I don't know, about 8 months ago, I got an email from our upstairs neighbor that the church she works with, or maybe there's maybe a different church that she knows about, let them know that there's this family moving to the neighborhood right around the corner from me, from Ukraine. They're refugees from the war, and they're don't speak English and don't really know anyone in the area, and they'd love to connect with some people. And my neighbor emailed me because she knows that I'm from Ukraine. I speak Russian, which is really convenient. And they're like, "Do you want to connect with them?" I was like, "Yeah, totally. Let me know." And she's like, "Yeah, they'll reach out with contact info, whatever." And then nothing. Then I didn't hear anything about them for 6, 8 months. And in the back of my mind, I was always like, I know they're here somewhere. I'm even pretty sure I know which house is theirs. But what's going on? I'm kind of waiting. And there was never a serious reason to do anything about it. But I just kept thinking about it. And then fast forward to this summer, we're doing the Neighborhood Accelerator. I've always been kind of interested in bringing people together, and our neighborhood has a bit of a history of that. And I was like, all right, it's my turn to do it. What am I going to do? I tried to host one event, no one showed up. It was raining, not a great time. Don't host your events in the rain. It's something I've learned. But I was talking to Savannah about it, and she's like, why don't you just go over their house, knock on their door, and see if they're around, and if they'll want to come over to your next thing, because you have this connection. I'd been kind of neglecting doing this door knocking thing because we have a WhatsApp group already. I'm on it. I message people, but I was like, yeah, why not? So I took my daughter. We went over. Also, another thing we learned in the program: if you have kids, it's great to get them to do the introducing first. Everybody loves kids. So I went over. I knocked on their door. The guy came out. He's shirtless, maybe he just woke up. I don't know, can't quite tell. And I was in Russian, I was like, hey, how's it going? And he's like this a little bit, wait, you speak Russian? What? And he's like, come on in. Do you want to have a seat? Do you want a beer? Let's chat. And it really, I got the feeling, I talked to him for half an hour, just hanging out with him. And I got the sense that he doesn't he doesn't speak English. His family doesn't speak English. He maybe hasn't talked to anybody around here in his language in a comfortable way for a really long time. And he was just very excited to find out about us, talk about how, so he was in the Ukrainian army for a while, because everybody was, if you live there. He had no real intention of moving here. He has no real never planned this, didn't prepare for this, and they just had to go. And it was really cool. It felt all of these things that were inside of him that needed to come out, and they were I got to connect with him about that. And then I invited him over for a barbecue. We got some other families in the neighborhood to come over. He brought his 2 kids. One of his kids doesn't speak English at all. One goes to school here, so he knows a little bit. his wife came, and yeah, it was really great to like help them connect with the other people around them, to help them feel like part of the neighborhood, even though they've been living 100 feet from me for the last 6 months. I never connected with them if not for this. And now I feel like I see his kid bike by every once in a while, and he says hi in Russian. It's I feel like it's a really nice thing. It's helped me realize that there's probably tons of people just like that all around here. Like, I don't know, there's a building over there. Maybe there's a bunch of people who have some connection to me that I never would have known about if I don't go over and be like, hey, here I am. Like, let's meet each other. Let's talk about, let's get together. Let's be neighbors, be neighborly to each other. Yeah, that's what I got.
Give it up for Grin. Woo! Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being like a Ukrainian immigrant and having that happen to you? Like, that just, I think I cried a little bit when that story came out and Grin shared it with us in the chat. It was so stunning. Okay. I'm gonna throw it over to Pierce next. Pierce, are you feeling good?
Yeah.
Pierce is in the Philippines.
I think I'm a bit extra because I have some slides, but it's just for a visual cue. Let me just try to see if I can. Give me a second.
How about while we wait for Pierce, everybody have a little stretch break? Oh, the weirder the stretch, the more points. All right.
Okay,
Take it
you
away.
see it?
Yes, we can see it. It looks great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So good evening, everyone, from the Philippines. I'm just gonna share like a visual thought process of how I was trying to process this whole journey. So the goals when entering through the program, I wanted to develop my sense of self, and this was in the aspect of community. And from that, I wanted to do some intentional routing somewhere. This could be like locally, as in like the really immediate neighborhood. Nationally, as I've been like moving around as well, I want to go back to the Philippines and try to develop that sense of identity. And some other forms when I do small little travelings, I try to ground myself there. And the third one is that I am proactively seeking this community and also trying to build that sense of community. And before entering this program, I already set my 2024 annual goals was to seek this community of high alignment and within the neighborhoods and quality friendships. So setting the physical context of where I am, it's in the Philippines. It's called Makati, the city. It's to be known as the financial capital in the Philippines. It's quite dense. And the barangay where I live, which is the smallest political unit, is called San Lorenzo, and it's situated in the central business district. And here you can see tons of parks around, restaurants, museums, libraries, independent cafes, bars, and there's a whole strip of 4 malls, so it's just so dense there. And where I live, Legazpi Village is part of Barangay San Lorenzo. So that's the physical context, and yeah, that's Legazpi Village. For the community context, I don't know how it is in different countries, but I was amazed to realize, like in the Philippines, we have a small political unit that is funded to do some programs across health, environment, and social activities. And so that's the Facebook page, and even they have a separate section for children, they would call it, or youth, which is basically until the age of 30. So these entity also has separate government funds to do specific activities, which was very interesting. And so with that kind of context, I came in to Cabin trying to understand it. But I first did a self-initiated program. And the program really motivated me to do this first event, which was like the flyer. And I was so happy to do this, nervous as well, but setting that low standards. It was really a great activator to see the people around me, but it was quite high energy. I don't know how much frequency I'll be doing it, maybe once a quarter, half a year or so. But it also led to some to open communication lines that were already existing, like within my condominium. That's another layer of community. I was able to, build people, setting up the admin to help us have a bulletin board so we can get more connected as residents. And within on the right side, you see I'm also becoming part of the different groups around. And recently, I was just added to a book club in our barangay, mainly full of like the elderly people. But their hope is that more young blood come in, and me as a first example. On the other side of within this neighborhood building, I also tried to develop other ways. Like I tried to do an Airbnb of my place to attract friends when I'm away. And also on the right side, I was inspired by Savannah and John's developing of like, why your neighbor is really nice. So that's like on the other pipeline. And then so I was away for 2 weeks, and I was in Switzerland, but I wasn't really dreading to go back because a third world country, blah blah blah. I was actually looking forward to come back home because I have a sports fest to attend for my barangay, to play sports with people and have and then have coffee with one of the local council members to make this better. And to the right, there's a bunch of activities, I guess, that are already existing. And this made me realize like maybe I don't want to be the lead of this, but I want to be the main contributor within the community. And finally, I guess the best thing that happened is that I'm quite proud of where I live, and I like to be an active contributor to where I'm like living. And so like with the very tacky sports uniform, I was like still happy to wear it. And that's all for my sharing. Thank you.
Give it up for Pierce. Woo woo. Yeah, Pierce has been on an amazing journey too. Okay, let's hear from David next, and then I've got a video from Forrest, and then we'll jump into Q&A. So if you have any questions or things you want to talk about, share them in the chat and we'll capture them. David is in Haifa, Israel, and I'm really excited for y'all to hear his story.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Amanda. I got a video for you too, but then I'll talk a bit about the video because it's not full 5 minutes, but let's get it launched, and then the video will tell a story, and then I will tell more of that story. Let's just open it. We open it.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, okay.
You say you wanna build up bridges. You say you wanna glue and stitch this. You say you wanna go no secrets. What the fuck is this? You say you want a tight connection, and I don't show enough affection. Dick move, but quick correction. Thought I should mention. I can't wait to hear the sound of you marching back in town. So won't you calm it down? 3, 2, 1. Come with your flowers, take off your shoes. They stop the fire, I read the news. My love is kitchen, breaking dishes, talking shit, throwing words and knives. This home is warfare, I'm shooting the flare, cause it's all fair and warm love. Was it love or war? I can't wait to hear the sound of you marching back in town. So won't you count it down? 3, 2, 1. Come with the flowers, take off your shoes. They start the fire, I read the news. My love is timeless, I wait by the phone. Don't leave me hanging, please just come back. Come back with flowers, hang up your shoes. I set the table waiting for you. My love is timeless, I wait by the door. Don't leave me hanging. 3, 4. Come back home.
Woo!
Oh my God.
Yeah, I like it.
I need somebody to get off mute and hoop and holler for that one because that was just over the top.
Jackie!
Woo!
Oh my God.
That's great, Hala. I'm happy for the holler. John, Caddy, everyone. Okay, so you've seen some of the story in my neighborhood, a little bit from the video, but I want to go a little bit beyond that. First of all, I did steal at least one line from Shani because Shani has all the good lines, or a lot of the good lines, but or Savannah. I'm not sure who I stole it from. I still can't remember, but you're all awesome. So some things I want to talk about in the little time that I have is, first of all, how do I meet all these people? You saw a lot of people in those pictures, and there's way more. And I'm new in this country, you know, I don't even speak the language that great, and other people don't as well. So I met them randomly, some by looking for apartments, some from my friends looking for apartments and that connected me to people, some by going to international various expat events and then just taking these people home saying, hey, come to dinner, I'm doing this thing. Some are just neighbors who, you know, one neighbor, I flooded mine and her apartment like 2 days after moving in. We're friends now. I flooded her again a couple days ago, so that's TBD, maybe not anymore. Another neighbor came up randomly during one of the dinners, so now he comes every week. So sometimes it's that easy, like Kati will tell you as well, just walking around, strike conversations, and people becoming friends. And friends and neighbors alike. The other thing I want to talk about is the fixing part of the neighborhood. That's something that I got a small but meaningful grant from Verbs for. Thank you, Mysterious Forces, that helped me get it done, and Savannah. But it really lights a fire under your ass, and I'm really feeling very responsible for it now and thinking of how to fix up the neighborhood. And from a lot of the conversations that I've been having with people here, and more that I will once I actually post it on the forum, the consensus seems to be to start with yourself and to bring people together to create right here in this apartment where I'm right now, and to start doing little things for the apartment, for the house, for the street, for the block, and so on, until eventually there may be some really strong neighborhood bonds that even expand to local government and make it a much tighter, cleaner, more connected neighborhood while still retaining all of the things that make it amazing. So that's what I'm going to be working on, focusing on for the next year. And the one I end with just before the time runs out is what I learned from this. And there's a lot, but I think one of the main things is to be patient and to slow down, which from my voice and speed of talking, you'd be surprised if I ever can, but I'm going to try to slow down, to enjoy every victory, every step, every connection, every conversation, every mistake, everything. And most of all, I want to say this, this is a story of my local neighborhood. This is also a story, and this is not her, so I'm just making this up, but this is truly a story of my global neighborhood, and that is all of you guys. So without that little ETH conference side event where my brother went to with me, and the only event he liked there, without the dinner afterwards, without everything that followed, this would be, I'd still host dinners, I still have friends, but it would be so much different and so much less complete. So thank you all for being part of my neighborhood. Please come to dinner, please come to other events. After we play football with Patty, I'd love to have you guys come here and join me for dinner Friday night or maybe some other time. Thank you. Love you all.
Woo! Woo, 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 woo. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Okay, I've got one more video. This is from Forrest Gibson, who is in Olympia, Washington. Okay, do you see a big black screen? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, okay, great. All right, I just want to say a few words to introduce this and give you some context. So Forrest and his partner Jessica live with their child, their 3-year-old Juniper, in Olympia, Washington, and Jessica's parents live with them on their property. And Forrest and his family have been bringing their neighbors together for more than 4 years already. And as you'll see in the video, they have a really magical community. And you know, Forrest, along with Shawnee and other people in our program, have been at neighborhood building for a while and still found a lot of value in joining, because I think for Forrest, he really wanted to join a community of practice, a group of people who are already doing the thing with him, and join him in the sometimes lonely work of doing neighborhood building. But the big thing to share is that shortly into the program, both of his partner Jessica's parents were in and out of the hospital, and he came to less of the program's calls because, as like rightfully so, his available time was spent taking care of the people he loved in his community. So you'll see in this video how his neighbors came together to support his family, and just how dedicated Forrest is to building his beautiful intergenerational neighborhood. He couldn't be here on this call with us because his father-in-law is unfortunately in critical condition, and somehow he whipped this video up for us to get a chance to experience his neighborhood. So I want you to give applause to Forrest through the ether. He's a big AI and robotics nerd, so you'll see some like references to ChatGPT in here. I hope you enjoy.
Hey ChatGPT, please help me draft a song about community and connection. How with intention we can get to know our neighbors and get friends to become our neighbors. A song about the Cabin Network, the Neighborhood Accelerator program, and all the people that made it possible. About the life of our community while we are part of the program. Getting connected to Savannah and the warm welcome in the program. Meeting my fellow cohort members and hearing their stories. The chance to share my community story. The constant struggle to try to balance all of the competing needs in my life. Feeling guilt about my participation in the program. Hopping on a call with Savannah and her coming up with a dozen amazing ways to help be supportive, even if that meant taking time to focus on my own needs instead of the accelerator. Realizing that we are doing the hard work of community building here, and that is something to celebrate. That we have Taco Tuesdays each week for a great group of people who show up for each other in times of need. We offer crisis housing to people in our extended community who are dealing with a difficult transition in their lives and need somewhere safe to land. We are surrounded by a group of more than a dozen kids around us who are getting to grow up together. And that we managed to pull off an epic summer camp event with more than 55 people who attended. All of this while dealing with personal and family medical emergencies that had at least one family member in the hospital for most of the duration of the program. Also, the chaos of raising a 3-year-old. And the joy of having grandparents right next door who've gotten to see our child many times each week. Please emphasize the appreciation for the opportunity to have been part of the beginning of the Accelerator program. How inspiring it's been to be connected to this amazing group of community builders and change makers. People who see that a better world is possible. It just takes people like us to take it step by step and work on it one neighborhood at a time.
makes me cry every time I watch it. So that's Forrest. Give it up for Forrest, everybody. Oh, woo, 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 woo. I'll share the recording with him, so your applause is not in vain.
Is there a
Okay,
song?
so
Can you listen to the song?
I'm not sure. I think he just whipped that up and it was kind of scrappy, but there may be a song one day. Looks like David might make a song up right now. But yeah, those are some of the stories from the past 3 months. It's been an incredible journey. But more than anything, it's just been an incredible group of people. So I just want to celebrate you all. You're so amazing. And yeah, we're gonna run the next round of the accelerator program at the end of this month. If any of you want to apply, please do before Sunday. But yeah, if there are any questions for anyone on the call, I know a lot of the stewards are just excited to see each other and ask each other questions. We've got a few more minutes. So yeah, just throw your paw in the air and ask your question.
Before we get to questions, I also just want to give one more huge shout out to the lady that made this program possible, Savannah. Savannah, thank you so much for everything you've been doing to put this on. It's truly incredible to see all of the stories that you've helped inspire.
Thanks, John. It's been a true pleasure. Okay, well, one question we have comes from John Hillis, which is, any tips for recruiting people in your neighborhood who always make too many baked goods? And I think that's in reference to my story, but I'm curious if there's any neighborhood stewards who have, oh, Savannah for president, more like Savannah for Boulder City Council one day. But yeah, I'd love to hear from other stewards, like, any tips on how to recruit neighbors who are excited to give their gifts, I think is a more relevant question.
I mean, first of all, if there's any bakers, send them my way. I love baked goods. I bake myself, and I'm happy to eat all the pies and all the cakes and all the cookies and everything.
I also
Savannah,
don't have any tips. I just have a ton of muffins left over in the fridge right now, so I think I am that person.
Adorable.
just ask them.
Exactly.
And even if they don't bring anything, I think that they'll see when other people do, and then they'll be like, "Oh, everybody's bringing stuff. I really should too." So like invite them back, even if they don't bring too many baked goods.
Yeah.
When we, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say a big lesson that Shawnee taught us in the program, as a mentor and as a peer, was that, like, the number one thing you can do to create a sense of ownership and thus belonging among other neighbors is to listen deeply to, like, what are their gifts, what are they excited about, and then make very thoughtful asks for them to contribute in specific ways. So if you're excited about baked goods, you can host a potluck and notice who baked an amazing thing, and then be like, wow, you made those incredible muffins. Like, would you be willing to, like, teach us a workshop on, like, how to bake incredible muffins? And that might be the thing that, like, makes them really feel like they're an owner in the community and not just a consumer or a participant. So there's, like, really strategic ways to actually get more baked goods by listening to who has that proclivity already.
One more tip specific to baked goods is when we first moved to our neighborhood, Lauren made some brownies that we went and handed out to all the neighbors, and everybody was like, "These are the best brownies we've ever had. What's your secret?" And she later realized that she had doubled the butter in the brownies accidentally. So that's the key, is just more butter.
More butter.
I'll make brownies tomorrow just for that recipe, just because to try it out.
I have a question for any of the stewards regarding conflict between neighbors. I have the neighbors both, like, next to me, the next two houses, like, do not like each other, but they both like me. And it makes it a little awkward to try to do things sometimes. There's the saying, fences make good neighbors. The one just put up a fence, privacy fence. So I'm hoping that, like, helps a little bit. But does anyone have experience with like being like the mutual friend, but then the other people are having trouble?
I can take that a little bit. I have friends, because I have different groups of friends, linguistically and otherwise, like the Russian speakers hang out with themselves, the Hebrew speakers feel awkward, the English speakers feel awkward between the two, and then there's like the introverts, the extroverts, and then even within the same group, there's subgroups. I tried to like do separate dinners and to like meticulously invite this group this week, this group another week. It failed, it made me miserable, and people still complained. So my advice, not clinical anyway, but just from my recent experience, is to give up, invite everyone, and let them kind of sort themselves into things and out of things. And then if you really want to, create additional events for people based on what they want. So for example, let's say if one friend who doesn't get along with another friend wants to do like a paint night, and then do a paint night and make that friend like a host or co-host or whatever. And then the other person probably is not going to come anyway, right? And then when the other person does something like that they like, maybe football on a big abandoned field, and then the other person is not going to come. Let it sort itself out, because it's not worth your energy, honestly, because you have so much on you already. And it's impossible from my personal, very modest experience to get everyone to be happy all the time with everyone and get along with everyone, at least initially. Maybe with time it gets better. Hope that helps.
Thanks, David. I'll jump in and say also, like, if your goal is to bring your neighbors together, like not just these two, but maybe a larger group of folks, one instinct I have is to actually just like have a conversation with both of them and share your larger goal for what you'd like to do in your neighborhood, and say to them like, I have this vision, this is what I want to create here. What do you think we could do? And like they might, they might be like, fuck that person, I never want to hang out with them, but they might have ideas for like how you can still achieve your goal and respect their needs if that's never going to happen. So yeah, just a thought. Okay, we are at time, and I just encourage you all to go to the cabin.city website and look up any of the folks in the Neighborhood Accelerator program that you've met here, and you'll be able to DM them or send them email if you have additional questions or thoughts. But just want to say thanks once again, and I want to take a little screenshot of our call. So if you wouldn't mind, just like give me a crazy celebration expression while I take a screenshot, you angels. Oh, Cam makes the best faces. Yes! Okay, y'all, have a beautiful evening, morning, day, and night. Thank you all so much for coming. We're so excited. Peace.
Thanks, Savannah. Yay for
Thank you all.
Savannah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We're still staying for the next call, right?
Yeah, we're staying.
Just making sure.
I'm not going anywhere.
Like
Can we
bye,
keep
but
Tim? Can we keep Tim for the call?
Hey,
I
Tim.
would
Well,
want to
Tim's
keep
gotta go
them,
to
yeah.
sleep.
Tim, sorry I didn't get to answer your question on video call, so I texted it, but if you want to, I could try to answer it by voice as well.
Tim, we're going to bed. You're on mute.
We love you, Tim. Thank you. Bye, Tim. Appreciate it.
Good night, Tim. Sleep well.
Good
You're
night,
still
Tim.
on mute.
Still on mute. We're glad about it.
Like a baby on Mogadon. See you guys.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Shani. She's been really inspired and uplifted by being involved in this program. And yeah, it's really cool because, you know, she was kind of feeling pretty lonely about what she was doing. And yeah, she's founded people. So it's been great. Okay, see ya.
Yay. See ya.
Bye.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh gosh, those two. They cracked me up.
It doesn't get cuter than Tim
No.
and Shawnee, that's for sure.
Well, you and
Yay!
Gunbo are also quite up there.
We're pretty cute. We're pretty cute.
You're pretty cute.
We keep it going. Okay, welcome. All right, so I think it'd be nice if maybe we like all took a little screen break and got up and had a little shake. I'm just gonna put like 2 minutes on the clock. Like if you need to go pee, if you need to get a cup of tea. We've been looking at a screen. Let's take a little break and reconvene at like 5 minutes after the hour. Sound good?
Sound good.